Hi, I'm Skylar.
And I'm Emily.
And welcome to Speedy Study World History. And today we're going to talk about the Olympics.
As you can see, we're repping our favorite countries.
USA, USA. No, get out of the shop, Mom.
Okay. The Olympics is defined as the modern revival of the ancient games, held once every 4 years in a selected country. But it's so much more than that.
We apologize ahead of time for our terrible humor and jokes, but please just bear with us. It's only like 10 minutes long. You can do it.
Seriously, 10 minutes.
We'll try. Kind of. Maybe more. Today we view the Olympics as an event filled with extravagance in every aspect, whether it be the arenas or the ceremonies, and we view it all over the globe, done about as well as our outfits.
Hey, we warned you. Most of the population watches the Olympics on their TV, the internet, and some even listen to it on the radio. But this isn't always how it was. The Olympics go way back beyond our digital age, and the ability to turn on a light-up box with a wireless device was virtually non-existent.
No, that's impossible. I've always watched the Olympics on my big, nice, flat light-up box. Must have been forever ago. When were the first Olympics?
Records for the earliest Olympics go back as far as 776 BCE, but they're believed to have been held prior to that. The games originally consisted of only foot races. Other events gradually added, starting with wrestling, horse and chariot racing, boxing, and the pentathlon.
Oh, I'm starting to remember. Maybe it was something I learned earlier this year in that amazing history class we have. There are two first Olympic Games. The oldest first Olympic Games was held in honor of Zeus in the city of Olympia.
Wait, our town held the first Olympic Games?
No, Olympia, Greece, though commonly confused with Olympia, Washington. As Emily mentioned earlier, the first games were held in 776 BCE and took place every 4 years in midsummer during a full moon so that the games could last until the night and still be visible.
The games themselves were used as a tool to create peace among the people of Greece, as you may recall from that amazing history class that we're in. That the Greeks got a little feisty every now and again, so they were constantly involved in civil wars. The Olympics helped this cause immensely because a truce was made 3 months before and after the Olympics. This became an almost sacred and religious observance of the Greeks, aka a nice peaceful time in an otherwise combative zone.
The super old version of the Olympics lasted only 5 days, during which there were many sacrifices to the gods, as well as the sporting events
On
themselves.
the last day there was a massive feast where winners were crowned with wreaths of olive branches and later showered with honor. Statues were made, songs and poems were written, tax exemptions were in place, and most important reward given, cash money.
As time went on, amateur athletes were kicked out and focus switched to specialization. The Olympics continued for 120 years until 333 CE, when accusations of pagan motives caused Dr. Professor Emperor Theodosius to cancel the Games. The modern Olympic Games would not commence until 1896.
In 1894, a mustached French aristocrat named Baron Pierre de Coubertin brought the International Olympic Committee,
The IOC,
together for the first meeting to plan the games that would occur 2 years later in 1896. This committee planned events, activities, awards, and prohibited women from participating in the games.
Well, wasn't that so generous of them? Women would not be able to compete in any events until 1900, where in Paris they were allowed to compete in 2 events. That was so nice of the men to give the little girls a chance to play in their big boy games, don't you think?
It really was.
But fortunately, the number of female participation would increase in every game since then. Everything went off the original base of the first Olympics, but as time changed, the newly organized version took on the advantage that the current time held.
Our lovely long-standing symbol for the Olympics, the Olympic rings, were not created until 1914, 18 years after the first Olympics, by the very same person who created the IOC. These 5 rings represent the unity of the world in every major region that compete in the Games. Funny enough, though, they were released the same month that World War I started.
Irony.
In the midst of all the chaos of war, these rings represented peace and international cooperation.
However, in 1916 the games were cancelled and the war raged on. The next games proved difficult as few countries were not invited to participate to the games because of their actions in the war. Most countries returned the next year, but Germany had more time to do.
As the Games were evolving into a mega event, it was changing with its surroundings. New things introduced to the world came into play with the Olympics too. 1936 marks the first televised Olympics, but only broadcasted to nearby cities. Right after this, the next 2 games were canceled due to the Second World War.
Really? Get it together. Seriously?
It wasn't even until after the Olympic hiatus that the games were privately screened on TVs.
So that's when technology finally caught up with the international scale of the games. Let's see what technology really did for our beloved games over the years. Thought bubble? The Olympics were not always the high-tech international spectacle that they are today. From the ancient Olympics, all we have are paintings of what they might have looked like. The first huge technological advance for the good of the Olympics occurred in Stockholm, Sweden in 1912, when they began to use stopwatches to time the contestants. Before this, they didn't even have accurate times for any of the events. The next leap forward was in 1928 during the Amsterdam Games. The very beginnings of photography allowed for the first slow-motion imaging for close finishes. No more judging by eye or the chances of biased judges. Following this, in Los Angeles, the timing systems improved even more. Electronic timing systems guaranteed accuracy and record of times. The use of these electronic timing devices allowed for the removal of human error and helped boost the legitimacy of the Games. TVs finally became a part of the Olympics in Berlin, Germany. While it was not exactly the experience we are familiar with today, it was still a big deal to be able to watch the Olympics and not have been there. Given you did have to be in Germany to watch on the public TVs, it's still impressive. The next improvement was in London, where they took the Germans' idea of the TV and spread it. The games were now for the first time available to watch in the comfort of your own home. Well, if you lived in the British Isles. That not being the point, they had finally privatized the viewing of the games. The big year for technology of the Olympics was in 1964 with Tokyo, nicknamed the Scientific Games, with new timing devices and streaming of the events to the USA for the first time ever. Technologies after this point continued to advance, but there isn't any more huge milestones. Photography, videos, and timing systems have improved even more to the point where the speed is just seconds off. Anyway, needless to say, it took a while to get where we are today. It didn't start as live streaming and blow-by-blow tweets across the globe, but that is what we know now.
While technology influenced the Olympics influenced economy.
The Olympics leave a stamp on the host city as well as the surrounding nations in an economic perspective. As time has gone by, those traces left behind just become bigger and bigger.
Kind of like the U.S. debt.
Staging the Olympics is a long and expensive commitment of a city to this mega event. From the view of Australian Richard Cashman, the impact comes in 4 different stages. In the shortest version, a city puts a lot of time and focus into winning a bid, stage 1, followed by stage 2, a time of preparation, including lots of construction over a period of 7 years.
So basically every Yelm Highway roundabout built, just about ever.
Yeah. Then stage 3, also being the shortest, the games themselves, and finally the longest and most drawn-out period, the stage 4, when the event is finally over in the years following. The process begins with both positive and negative aspects to the economy table. Rather than a huge increase, it is more of a set of fluctuations that align with the stages that Cashman laid out.
The money flow goes down slightly and becomes constant during the bid and preparation. Then when the games finally come around, there's a huge increase when all the people swarm to the city. And then it goes back down because they all leave. Nothing is steady or certain during this time, but there is always a definite impact.
You know, looking back, I think I would say that we've come pretty far.
From the first Olympic Games, when the opening ceremony was a sacrifice to the recent the queen skydiving.
True. But so many aspects beyond that have been changed. As stated, the opening ceremonies just continue to become more and more elaborate to that with the help of wonderful technology.
1 second.
But the point is, the Olympics continue to stand as an exciting time for people to work and look forward to, and a continuous symbol of the unity we still look up to. The events went from measly foot races to boxing to discus back in the way olden days, BCE olden days, and once revived took off and incorporated all the sports involved today. There was once only one event, and now there's 35, but I mean, I feel like some people are still feeling a little bit left out.
I think it's time for an open letter.
I think you're right. What is it?
Football. Dear football and baseball, why aren't you Olympic sports? Everybody would really appreciate those spandex pants. Keep fighting.
Don't stop believing. I just really like baseball pants. Best wishes, Skylar and Emily.
Skylar, who's your favorite Olympic athlete?
You know, I'm not afraid to admit, I'm a big fan of the Phelps.
Well, perfect, because he's here to help us bring it home.
Quote, 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 quote.
Quote.
You can't put a limit on anything. Michael Phelps.
I believe those wise words to be true in many cases, especially regarding the Olympics, because we've seen they've just got bigger and better.
Can't nobody put a limit on the Olympics.
There's so much more that can be said for these wonderful events, but that's all the time we have.
And we can't talk as fast as John Green.
Not even close. Thanks for watching. Make good choices.
Special thanks to Tyler Hong for helping edit this hopeless video that would have sucked without him. Did I say it right?